Hello there, my extraordinary and hardworking friend. I just love the questions that you ask our team on a daily basis, and I particularly like this one. You asked, is there a nice way to say mean things? Even though I wouldn't particularly ask the question in the same way that you did, I love the honesty. In fact, I could ask a quick variation of that question. I would say, can I be honest and kind at the same time? Or even, how can I be honest without being mean? I think these are key questions because in this life, you are going to have so many critical conversations, and your ability, your skill, and it is a skill that we can practice, by the way, to communicate in a way that is more effective, clear, and productive is essential, not just for your success in school and work, but perhaps even more importantly, in your personal relationships. This is a valid question and one that I believe deserves some time and attention. So let me begin by answering the question right away. Absolutely, there is a way for you to be honest and at the same time for you to be respectful, kind, considerate, and honorable. I actually find that a lot of adults are not this way right now. A lot of adults, especially those who are in really visible positions, whether they be politics or show business or TV or influence, I think are more in the business of hearing themselves talk, drawing attention to themselves, or going around picking fights and creating drama. This isn't everyone. I don't want to stereotype and generalize, but I find that sometimes these individuals hide behind the excuse of, well, I'm just speaking what's on my mind or what I feel. But honestly, this is not a very reasonable explanation. Just because you think or feel something, just because you have an opinion, doesn't mean that that opinion is accurate, true, or helpful. Now, I've been a therapist for 20 years. I've made a living out of speaking and using words. I've shared my opinions, beliefs, and observations millions of times, and I have some basic advice on how to do that in the best way. Because in the end, if I'm going to share something with someone, I would like to at least increase the chances that it will be received well, and to do whatever I can to invite an open mind and an open heart. So how do we do this? Well, let's get to those 5 tips. Number 1, lead with humility. My awesome friends, I believe that this world needs a humility movement, man. I want to have a parade. I want to wave flags as well, but I want to do it in the name of humility. It's important for you to express yourself, your ideas, your opinions, your requests, your honest statements in a humble way. Remember that just because you have an opinion doesn't mean that it's accurate, so present it with that in mind, right? You can do this by simply adding the expression, look, it's just my opinion, or that's how I'm seeing, or I may not be right, but this is what it looks like to me, or even, I realize you may not think or feel the way that I do, but this is what I believe needs to be done. Let me tell you why this matters so much. When you approach conversations from a place of humility, from a place of, I could be wrong, and there's a lot that I don't know, I believe that people are more receptive. I believe that their heart and mind become a little softer and open instead of closed and defensive. So if you're looking to be honest with a friend or a parent or a sibling, lead with humility. Place your ego aside and present your ideas in humble ways. Number 2, check your tone and words. Look, there are words that we use that are straight up explosive and immediately place people on the defensive. If you approach people with your guns blazing like a machine gun, chances are that that conversation is not going to be terribly effective. If you're calling people names and dropping F-bombs, just realize that those words don't invite or promote a peaceful conversation. Those are like, let's have a war words, and most likely that's what you're going to get. So instead of raising your voice and throwing emotional grenades at the other person, do what you can to keep a calm and cool voice and use words that are less likely to produce a firestorm. This is what's called a soft startup, and it is one of the most important skills that you will learn as you work through some of the conflict and negotiations in your life. Number 3, use a preface or an introduction. Do you know how at the beginning of books you sometimes have an introduction or a preface? Something that basically tells you what you're about to read. Well, if you're about to have a difficult conversation, sometimes it's really useful to prepare the other person. So if you want to have a difficult conversation with a parent or a sibling or a friend or your boyfriend or girlfriend, let them know, hey, I want to talk to you about something that's important to me, or can we talk about something that's hard for me a little bit later, or I have something important to talk to you about. When is it good for you? I know these are my words, and I'm sure that you're going to say it so much better and in a much cooler way, but trust me, this is an important step to help you to be honest and for it to come across in a nice and respectful way. Plus, it sets the stage for it to be better instead of ending up in a screaming match or with hurt feelings. Number 4, ask for permission. My goal for you is to become an extraordinary communicator. I believe that what you think and what you have to say is important. That's why I'm giving you these tools, so that when you open your mouth and express your thoughts and opinions, they'll be more likely to be heard and considered. A great way to keep people's hearts and minds open to you is to ask for permission to share an opinion or an observation. I remember once traveling to a soccer game with my boy and asking him, hey Jones, that's what I call him, can I give you a suggestion for today's game? And guess what he said? That son of a gun, right? He said, no. But you know what? I totally respected that. And by the way, guess what happened? He relented and said, all right, Dad, what is it that you want to tell me, right? So if you have advice to give or a suggestion that you want to share or a hard conversation that needs to happen, ask for permission. Give it a try and trust me. 5, use the crab sandwich approach. I know that's kind of gross, but just listen for a second. This is a common technique that a lot of people use that I feel is something that you can begin to use right away in your life. If your goal is to be honest and to do so in a respectful and effective way, then this is something that you can use anytime. The crab sandwich basically means that you start in a soft and respectful way, then give the advice or suggestion and feedback, and then finish with something else that is nice, complimentary, or even hopeful. Let me give you an example. Layla, I love having you as a friend. You've been there for me, and honestly, I've learned a lot from you. But lately, and here comes the crap, right? You've ignored me and treated me like crap. Man, I think you're awesome, and I would love to stay friends. Is there something going on that I've done or something that you feel is a problem? You can totally tell me and be honest. Start soft, give the feedback, and end soft. That's the sandwich. Use it when it's appropriate, but I feel it's a good tool that you can use to be respectful and kind to others instead of going around burning and lighting up bridges, right? I'm glad you're here. I'm telling you, most of the problems and issues that people face in relationships come down to communication and, more importantly, miscommunication. There are many more skills that you can learn to say mean things, right, in a nice way, or how I would say it, to be honest in a kind and respectful way. Remember that your goal is not just to hear your own voice. It's not just to speak what's on your mind, but to do so in a way that's effective, smart, and that can be received by others. Lead with humility. It begins with you. Set the tone for the conversation and work hard to keep it respectful, kind, and understanding, and you'll find yourself much more successful and honestly much happier as well, because the quality of your relationships will go up. One last thing, if you have to leave a relationship or a friendship, do things in a way that allow you to end those relationships with your heart, mind, and hands clean. The way that you do that is by handling it with clarity and class. There's a great quote that says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. Step into these conversations when they're necessary and use these tools and let us know how it goes to you. And please feel free to share this with your friends, family, etc. And let's have you lead in this humility movement.